JC here with another TNI news video. We've got a lot to cover today, so let's hop right into it. So for the first story, I want to talk about something that I briefly talked about a couple weeks ago, and it's in regards to Mattel's 6-inch DC Comics Multiverse Wonder Woman movie line. So at Toy Fair, we got to see the 4 initial figures for this wave, and these are being released everywhere, and they've been out for several weeks. And if just in case you've forgotten, that wave includes the Queen, Princess Diana, Steve Trevor, and then Wonder Woman wearing a coat. And the Collect and Connect figure is Ares. But since then, I've learned of 2 additional figures for the wave. Now, one I talked about a couple weeks ago, and that's a regular Wonder Woman without the coat. It has a new head sculpt, so it's actually different from the Dawn of Justice version. And that figure has the Ares Collect and Connect shield. Now, I've learned since that video that this figure is a Toys R Us exclusive. It's actually listed on their website. You can't purchase it on their website right now, but it is listed on there, and they do say it's a Toys R Us exclusive. But there's also a second figure that's shown up, and I'm going to totally butcher this name, but Menelippe, Menalippe is how it's spelled. I'm not that familiar with these Amazonian names, so forgive me if I've butchered that name. But she's going to come with the Ares fire sword, and that is listed as a Toys R Us exclusive as well on their website. However, with that one, that figure is also up on the Amazon.com website at normal price, $20. It's not from a third party. And on Amazon, it says that figure will be released on June 15th. So I don't know if it's a shared exclusive between Toys R Us and Amazon or what the deal is there. But on the Toys R Us website, and again, it's not available for purchase there. So I don't know if these figures have actually seen release here in the United States. I know the Wonder Woman figure had seen release overseas, but I don't know if they've actually started hitting physical stores here in the United States yet. But I also don't know why Toys R Us says it's their exclusive, and then Amazon has it listed as well with a June 15th release date. And I tried reaching out to Mattel a couple times about these exclusive figures, but I never got any response back, and I don't really expect them to get back to me. Unfortunately, I can't give you any official information. But just know that they are both listed on the Toys R Us website as Toys R Us exclusives, but you can also hit up Amazon and order the second figure with the fire sword on June 15th. Okay, Diamond Select Toys this week revealed their official images for their 7-inch Select Dark Tower movie figures. We got to see these a couple weeks ago at the C2E2 convention. They had the figures out there for display, and we had images up at toynewseye.com for them. But now we've got official images. Now both figures, these are 7-inch scale figures like the Marvel Select, and they're going to come with various accessories like weapons, and each figure is going to have a diorama backdrop. I'm assuming it is based on something that appears in the movie. The trailer for the movie debuted this week as well, and actually looks pretty interesting. I've never read the novels or the comics or anything, so I'm not that familiar with Dark Tower, but the trailer definitely looked interesting. But the 2 figures Diamond Select Toys is doing in the 7-inch scale is we're doing the Roland character, which is played by Idris Elba, and then the Man in Black character, which is played by Matthew McConaughey. And I think these figures look pretty good for the most part as far as face sculpts and everything, at least on these prototype images. Maybe not 100% to the actors, but pretty close. So I don't have a specific release date, but it looks like these are going to see release sometime in November. Last weekend was the Tamasi Nations World Tour event, which was held in New York City, and we got some images of a couple new products there. So first of all, the Pacific Rim figures. It was announced at Toy Fair that NECA was no longer going to be doing Pacific Rim figures. I don't know if they just gave up the license or if they lost it. I'm not sure, but they announced that they weren't going to be doing any Pacific Rim figures going forward. And then Tamasi Nations announced that they would be doing figures based on the Pacific Rim license. So they showed us the first figure that they're doing, and this is part of their Soul of Chikokin. Mispronouncing that, a lot of words in today's news I'm going to probably be mispronouncing. Anyway, these figures are standing about 10 inches tall, so this is kind of a line for their taller type characters and stuff. And so we got our first look at the Gypsy Danger figure from this line. Sorry, the quality of the images aren't 100% great because the lighting in the event was not very good, and the figures were kept in glass cases that were kind of smudged and scratched up. So, but still, we're getting our first look. No official details about release date or price or anything on this one yet, but I just wanted to give you the first look at their Pacific Rim figure. Also at that event, they showed some images, some concept art for upcoming Marvel realization figures. Now I know a lot of you aren't necessarily into this line. This is kind of their samurai represent. They take Marvel characters. They started doing this with Star Wars and then have been doing it with Marvel, and so they take these Marvel characters and kind of give them a samurai look and feel to them. So we've gotten Spider-Man and Iron Man should be released any day now. But we got to look at some others. We got a black costume Spider-Man, which is basically just a repaint of the Spider-Man that's already out, only now in black and white colors. And then it looks like a War Machine, Wolverine, Hulk, and Daredevil. Now, no specific information as far as release dates or anything like that. They didn't have the actual figures for these on hand, just images of them. But I just wanted to share that with you in case you're into that line. And while we're on the subject of movie realization figures with Star Wars, they also had on hand their San Diego Comic-Con exclusive prototype Boba Fett figure. We announced this during Celebration a couple weeks ago on Jedi Insider, but now we're getting a look at the actual figure. So this is a repaint of their Boba Fett figure that they did, only with the white armor now, and they're calling it prototype. And again, this is going to be a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. No word yet on what the price will be on that figure. And while we're on the subject of Star Wars, this week Hasbro announced the winner of their 3.375-inch Vintage Collection Fan Choice Poll. I told you about this a couple weeks ago during Celebration, how Hasbro was bringing back the smaller scale figures with articulation, essentially Black Series figures, only now they'll be on vintage Kenner-like card backs. And so they did a fan choice poll, and the winner, according to them, is the character Dr. Aphra. I think I'm pronouncing that right. A-P-H-R-A is how you spell it. And she's a character from the Marvel Comics titles, the more recent ones. She actually has her own series. I think she first appeared in the Darth Vader comic, but she now has her own title. I've never actually read her own title, so I'm not that familiar with the character. She's primarily a bad guy and a female character. But again, she is the winner of the fan choice poll, so she will be released in figure form. And I don't have a price point on these vintage collection figures. I've tried reaching out to Hasbro to see if they could give me a price on these, but they've yet to get back to me. So they may be holding that information till like Comic-Con or something. But I'm still suspecting they'll be at least in the neighborhood of 12 to 13, and I could even see them costing maybe $15. Now again, that's not confirmed, that's just my guess. Now and these figures will be available everywhere, unlike the Black Series figures in this scale, which were Walmart exclusives. These figures are supposed to be released everywhere. And then going back to Marvel, we got a look at the Marvel Legends 12-inch Incredible Hulk figure. This figure was announced at Toy Fair back in February, along with the Thor figure, which I showed you new images of earlier this week on Monday. But since then, the same eBay person that posted all those Marvel Legend images I talked about on Monday has since then posted the Hulk figure. So it's in package, but it gives you a look. It's a production sample, so it could vary a little bit from final release, but this is pretty much how it's going to look. It's got two different head sculpts. It's got the darker skin color and the blue pants, and then multiple pairs of hands. Now this figure, if I remember correctly, is actually supposed to be bigger than the other 12-inch figures. It's supposed to be kind of in scale with the 12-inch figures, so it's going to be bigger, and with that bigger size also comes a bigger price tag. I think it was going to cost about $75 as opposed to the normal $50 that the other figures cost. I won't swear on that price, but I'm almost sure it was said that the Hulk figure would cost a little bit more. I haven't seen it up for pre-order anywhere yet, so I can't confirm the price. And I don't have exact release dates on either Thor or Hulk. I do expect them to be released by San Diego Comic-Con time. So again, I don't have a specific date, but it should be out in the next month or so. And then finally, I just wanted to update you guys about the SH Figure Arts Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 Rocket Raccoon and Groot set. That figure is now up for pre-order at places like Big Bad Toy Store. It definitely is going to be released in September. When I talked about it last week, I wasn't sure about the release date. I knew Star-Lord was coming in September, but I wasn't 100% sure about Groot and Rocket. It is definitely going to be released in September. And Big Bad Toy Store has that figure, that set listed with a $69.99 price tag. So I'll put a link in the video description below if you want to check it out and possibly pre-order it. Okay, so that wraps it up for the news. Now on to the Q&A section. Now, if you're not familiar with the Q&As that I do, basically in each of these news videos, I have you guys ask questions in the comment section below, and then the next week I try and get to them and answer as many as I can. Usually I do about 3 or 4, so I don't get to all of them. But if I haven't answered your question in a past video, just ask it again. Or if you're new to this, just write your question in the comment section below and just put Q&A. And again, I'll try and get to it in next week's news video. I got a couple questions from last week's video, actually from the video I did earlier this week. I pulled the questions from. But I also have a piece of mail from the P.O. box. I've actually already opened it. It comes from Wyatt. Likes to send artwork, which I love to see. But before I get to this, I just want to note about the P.O. box that I've actually shut the P.O. box down. So going forward, please don't send me any mail there. Basically, I just wasn't getting enough use out of it to warrant the cost that the post office charges for it. I may go back to it at a future date, but right now I've closed that down. So if you want to send me something, the best way to do it is just to send it to me on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, or just email it. If you have artwork, hopefully you can just scan it into the computer and then you can send it to me. I love seeing you guys who draw and stuff doing your artwork and stuff, so I'd love to see it. But again, don't send it to the P.O. box. But Wyatt sends me a couple pieces of artwork. So these first two look like are part of his comic that he's been doing, and it looks like he's combining Mortal Kombat with DC characters. So we got Lady Shiva here, and it looks like Katana from Mortal Kombat, and it says "On your knees," and then we got Katana here, and it says, we got the second one that says, "Are you happy, Katana?" So I'm not sure what character this is. It's different from, I think it's different from the two in the other page, so I'm not sure if these are connected. But still pretty good, solid artwork. Now this third piece of artwork that he sent of Batman, I gotta say is top notch. I think this is really, really good. So definitely keep up the good work there, Wyatt, with the artwork. I really like this one. I'll probably hang this one up. It's so good. So appreciate you sending that in. Okay, so getting back to the normal Q&A, this first question comes from I Am Actor, and he asks, have you seen the big list of rumored Marvel Legends that are out, that are to be released for the rest of this year and next year? If you have, what are your thoughts on it? So I've seen multiple lists, and especially ones going into next year, I would not put a lot of stock in. Most of these lists generally come from store computers, and I don't think there's going to be a store computer that's going to have a list of all the figures that are out for next year. Maybe, stuff at the end of this year or the middle of this year, definitely, but all of next year, no, I think it's too far out for you to see anything legitimate. So anything going into next year, I would take with a huge grain of salt. I did see a list, and I haven't gotten it confirmed from my more reliable sources, but I have had a couple sources indicate that it seems pretty legit, and that's the Marvel Knights wave that we've seen. We know 4 figures. We know the movie, or not movie, but TV series Netflix Daredevil, and the Elektra, and Punisher, and Jessica Jones. But the list I've seen also includes comic book versions of Bullseye and Blade. And just based on the comments that Hasbro made about Blade at Toy Fair, leads me to believe that there's a good chance that list could be correct. And then the rumored figure, Build-A-Figure for that wave is Man-Thing, which seems like an odd choice to me, but, as part of the Marvel Knights, it kind of makes sense. I would have rather seen like a Netflix Kingpin or something like that. I wouldn't say it's confirmed. I wouldn't even go as far as making a news video about it, but while we're talking about these rumored lists, that's the only one that I've seen. And then there's a Thor wave that's floating around, but that one seems, initially I thought that one might be legit, but now it seems like there's indications that isn't, so I don't know about the Thor. But again, anything going into 2018, I would take with a huge grain of salt. Anthony asks, JC, do you know how much, or do you know much about the select Guardians of the Galaxy movie versions? I want to get all the main cast of the movie. Don't know whether to wait for select or start collecting the legends. Well, Anthony, I do know about them. They're only doing 2 Guardians of the Galaxy figures, so if you want the entire cast in the select line for the movie, the new movie, you're probably better to go with the Hasbro figures because they've done all the characters. But Diamond Select is only doing 2, and that's Star-Lord and Drax. But again, if you're wanting the entire team, then you're probably better to go with the Hasbro just because Diamond Select probably is not going to get out the entire team. I'm pretty sure they're only going to do 2 figures, which is pretty much on par with them. They don't generally do like entire teams and stuff generally. They did do those comic book ones with the diorama pieces that were Disney Store exclusives. So in that case, they did do the whole team. But for the movie, I think they're only doing the 2 characters. And then finally, Justin asks, do you know if DC Collectibles is still going to release the DC Icons Rebirth Supergirl and DC Icons 2-pack Superboy and Robin? Yes, at this time, those are still coming. They're coming at the end of the year, September, November timeframe. So those are definitely still coming at this point. I mean, anything can change, obviously, but at this time, those figures are still coming. The TV series figures are still coming. Constantine, Supergirl, Vixen, and Martian Manhunter for the TV series. Those should be coming out later this month. So those are definitely still coming. And then a lot of you keep asking about the DC movie line. I did discuss this back in February, but as of now, those figures are canceled. Or as DC likes to say, on hold, and are not going to see release anytime soon. So other than the Armored Batman and the Superman figures from their movie line, those are the only 2 that are going to be released at this point. Down the road, like, a year or so, who knows, basically they shelved them in a vault, and so they could always pull them out at some time. But at this point, they've said that those figures just did not have enough support at retail and have essentially been canceled. Okay, so that's it for this week. Like I said before, if you do have a question you want to have answered, ask it in the comment section below. As always, leave a comment. Let us know what you think about everything we talked about this week. I love to hear your comments. And you can also follow me on my Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram accounts. And if you're so inclined, please like this video. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate it. And until next time, guys, I will catch you later.